I've shared quite a bit about my finances on YouTube, but one thing I've never really shared with you guys is investing in stocks. To be honest, I used to feel really intimidated by investing in the stock market, and in the past, I've just had a financial advisor do all of that for me. This last year, though, I finally dipped my toe into the world of individual stocks, and they actually did pretty well. So I'm gonna show you guys how my stock picks did this last year, and then I'll show you what I'm investing in now, and I'll actually invest $1,000. Before we get started, just a disclaimer that this is a very, very small portion of my investment portfolio. I actually still do have a financial advisor managing most of the money I have in the stock market. I also have a good chunk of money invested in real estate, so really my investment portfolio is a lot more diversified than what you see here. This is me being more risky and just for fun and picking stocks I want to pick because I just have like a gut feeling that they'll do well. I don't necessarily recommend that you do that, but don't invest anything you're not okay with losing. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a random person on YouTube, but I will say my portfolio did pretty well this year. So in this video, you'll see the app I'm using is Robinhood, and that is what I've used mostly for the past year, but now I'm starting to transfer everything over to Webull because of the way Robinhood handled the whole GameStop situation. Yeah, I don't really trust Robinhood after that. I actually had this video done about a week ago, and then all that GameStop, Robinhood stuff happened, and I was like, oh, I can't put this up like that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, definitely look it up, do some research, especially if you're looking into investing. You might not want to go with Robinhood at this point. Most of my money isn't even in Robinhood anyway. I was just using it for my for fun investments. I'm starting to transfer everything over to Webull. I don't even know if that's the best move. I mean, I'm gonna be honest here. I don't know what is the best one. It might be something like TD Ameritrade, something that's just been around a little bit longer. But I will say Webull did handle it a little bit better, and you get 4 free stocks when you deposit $100. So that's awesome if you're getting started with investing. I'll have it linked down below. I was gonna have Robinhood in this video, but now I'm definitely not. I'm taking the link out. Yeah, okay, let's get into the video. So yeah, I don't know all the information at this point, but all I know is I don't really trust Robinhood anymore. I do trust Webull a little more, so that's what I'm going to be using for my for fun investments now, and I'll link them down below if you guys want to get the 4 free stocks. But just want to put this in here because you will see the Robinhood interface later in this video. So before we invest this money, let's take a look at my 2020 individual stock picks and how they did compared to what my financial advisor picked. So here is my Robinhood account. We can see in the last year, I got an 80% return on my investments, which is just so insane. If we're being real here, a lot of that is because I took advantage when things were really low during the pandemic. You probably could have purchased almost any stock back in March and it would have gone up. So I'm not like a stock genius or anything, but I did take advantage of that timing. And then taking a look at what my financial advisor has done, I got a 20% return on that. And that's where most of my money is. 20% is still really high. Most years I've only gotten like 8 to 11%, which is a lot more typical. This year has just been pretty crazy. So let's go over what did the best and what did the worst. First up, we have a tie between Apple and the S&P 500. I bought them at different times, but now they've given me about the same return. So these ended up making me a nearly 25% return. So both of these, I didn't even buy at the lowest point of the pandemic. Then it probably would have been quite a bit higher. I bought them over the summer, somewhere in July, but still a 25% return is really, really good. At number 10, we have Google, which I ended up making a 30% return on. Now my thought process with this one was I used YouTube every day. YouTube pays me. I essentially like work for YouTube in a way. Obviously, I believe in YouTube and Google pretty much taking over the world. I don't see Google going away anytime soon. To me, it seems like a pretty obvious one to invest in, so I put a bit of money into that. I bought it at an average cost of $14.44. It's now trading around $1,800, so I made $121 from this one. Next up, we have Hyatt, which has made me a return of 33%. At the low of the pandemic, I went in on the travel stocks. I chose Hyatt because honestly, I really like Hyatt hotels and I like to invest in companies that I believe in and I use. So that's why I picked Hyatt rather than say Hilton or something like that. I bought 1 share back in March and then I put another $100 in July, and now we have seen a 31% return. pretty good. Next up, we have another travel stock, Marriott, which made me a 47% return. The last several years, I've stayed in a lot of Marriott, Westin, like Starwood hotels, and I really like them. So that's why I invested in that. At number 7, we have Disney, which just barely beat Marriott at a 48% return. Then we have another travel stock, this time an airline. I picked up some Delta, actually 4 different times, and I've seen an average return of 49%. I bought it in the low of the pandemic, and I picked Delta simply because that is the airline that I fly the most. I love Delta. I think there was some worry that a lot of airlines were gonna go under, but the government sort of made it clear they weren't gonna let that happen. So it really seemed not terribly risky to put some money into Delta, and it's done very well. Then we have the last travel stock that did the best. This was actually MGM Resorts, kind of a random one, but it made me 61%, which is pretty insane. At the time, it really seemed like a no-brainer to get some travel stocks, but I will say, for a few months, they did not do well. It in fact continued to go down even more, but I still believed in it. I knew eventually it was gonna come back. At number 4, an app I really couldn't live my life without at this point, Uber. I ended up making a 74% return on. Uber got hit hard for a while. It dropped pretty low, but I just couldn't imagine a world without Uber. I really just did not believe Uber was just gonna go away, so I bought in, and it's done really well. At number 3, we have an app I use pretty much every day, Spotify. I ended up making an 81% return on. Insane. So I bought Spotify right after Joe Rogan announced his podcast was going to be going there. It had already run up a lot, so I didn't think it was going to go up that much more. I really just bought it because I realized I spend money on Spotify every month, and so do millions of other people, and wow, did it do well. It's seen a 72% return, although I will say this one has gone up and down quite a bit. You guys already know this one was going to be on here. Tesla was my second highest return at 112%. This one stings a little bit because I actually initially purchased Tesla back in June of 2019 at $200 a share, which would now be like 7 times as much, maybe more than that, including the stock split. I mean, I bought it at $200 a share and then sold it at $700. And you know, one thing I want to note when I bought Tesla back in 2019 is it really wasn't that popular to buy Tesla yet. A lot of people were like, oh, we'll see if they're still around. I remember in particular, my uncles were like, you're crazy, that's not gonna do well. But they had never been in a Tesla, and I had just gotten one and seen firsthand how amazing it was, how much better than every car out there it was. I just thought, this is the next Apple, this is gonna blow up. And it did. I did end up buying back in at in August and a couple times in September, and it's still done really well at like 114% return. I don't know if I would buy more though, because it's so high now. It somehow keeps going up, but it's so hard to imagine it going up even more than that. And my biggest return was not a stock at all. It was Bitcoin. Honestly, I bought Bitcoin as a joke. I was like voted most likely to own Bitcoin by some friends, and I was like, hey, I should buy some Bitcoin. And that's what got me to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin back in like May. And that $100 is now worth like $450 or something like that. So yeah, huge returns on that. That's ridiculous. We'll see how long it stays at that number. Obviously, Bitcoin goes up and down. I don't know. So those were my top 11 stocks that I picked. All of the individual stocks I bought actually made money, except for 2 of them, Pfizer and Adobe. Pfizer, I was just thinking like vaccine, duh, it's gonna go up, but it hasn't. We'll see what happens. I didn't put that much money into it. And Adobe, I am surprised hasn't gone up, but I'm gonna hold on to it because I believe in it in the long term. I spend money on Adobe every single month, and I love Photoshop and Lightroom and After Effects and all those, so I think it will be just fine in the long term. So in total, I've made an 80% return on all of this, although I don't plan to sell any of these actually. I'm gonna hold on to them, so this 80% number will go up and down, but I'm just gonna hold. Now for the fun part, let's actually buy some stocks. Again, this is not a recommendation or anything like that. These are just my for fun gut feeling stocks I think are gonna do well this year. I'm not even putting that much money into them. To me, this is kind of an experiment to see how I do. This is for entertainment purposes only, okay? Okay. Okay, so the first one that I'm gonna buy is Apple. I already own some Apple, as you guys have seen, but I'm gonna put $200 into Apple. Apple already did go up quite a bit this year. I just really think Apple is always making great products. People are always buying them, spending top dollar. Next, this one's not super exciting, but I'm just gonna do $100 into the S&P 500. This is just an index fund of 500 of the biggest publicly traded companies, so it's kind of like buying the whole stock market. It's a pretty safe bet. This next one I'm gonna buy is a little random. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is down 15% in the last year, probably due to the pandemic. A lot less people are going to restaurants ordering a Coke. I don't think Coke is going anywhere though. They're such a huge company and I'm kind of surprised that they're still down this much. So I'm gonna take advantage, but I'm just gonna put $50 in because I'm not really sure about this one. And I also don't really drink that many Coke products myself. Like sometimes I do, but really not that much. So 1 share of that. Next up, I have decided to buy a little bit of Facebook, which is kind of weird because I kind of hate Facebook, but I use Instagram every single day. I'm sure you do too. And guess who owns Instagram? Next up is Target. Target is a place that I think we all walk into and we become brainwashed and buy so much stuff we don't need. For that reason alone, I want to buy Target stock because I personally spent so much money at Target. They have gone up a lot in the last year, but they're not at their all-time high. They've dipped a little bit. I'm just gonna do $50 because I'm not really sure on this one, but I do want to track it and see how it does. Next one I'm going to buy is Piedmont Lithium. I think that's how you say it. I think electric cars are the future and are just getting started really. And the batteries of these cars need a lot of lithium. This company in particular actually entered into a 5-year deal with Tesla. It has gone up a bit already, but I think it will continue. It doesn't have the hype that Tesla stock has. You know, I don't think a lot of people even think to invest in this one, but I think it's a good one. So $100 to that. The next stock I'm investing into is Beyond Meat. I actually have some Beyond patties in my fridge right now. I love Beyond burgers. I think they're really good. This one has gone up and down a lot, but I think that plant-based eating is also kind of the future. I saw something about Beyond Meat being tested in Taco Bell pretty soon. This one's kind of risky. I don't know if it will really pan out, but I think it could, so I'm gonna put $100 in. Next up, I'm going to buy some more Alibaba stock. This is one that I did some swing trading on during the pandemic. I ended up selling it and I didn't buy in again. I don't really remember why. When you think about it though, so much of the stuff on Amazon is just from Alibaba, so it's almost like buying Amazon. Like they really go hand in hand. It's not at its all-time high right now. It has gone up 15% in the last year, but it's not at its all-time high right now. I think I actually owned it higher than what it's at. No, I didn't. Never mind. I really think this is gonna go back up because people are always buying this stuff through Amazon. The next stock is one that I am actually addicted to. Starbucks. I go to Starbucks all the time. It's only up 11% from the past year, so that's kind of like a normal year for Starbucks when you really look at it, it was a crazy year for Starbucks. I don't think Starbucks is really going anywhere, and I spend so much money there myself that I'm gonna buy $100 of Starbucks. Another stock that's already gone up a lot, but I think will continue to go up, Shopify. I mean, it's already very high and went up 150% in the last year, but almost every online store uses Shopify. I don't think they're going anywhere. So many people rely on Shopify. Even though it already is really high, I'm gonna buy $100 of Shopify. That kind of rhymed. And the last stock I'm going to buy, I don't know if it's the best time to buy it, but I'm just gonna put a little bit in so I don't forget about it altogether. Airbnb. Airbnb recently IPO'd and they have shot up, but I want to invest in Airbnb because I mean, I'm creating an Airbnb in Palm Springs. So obviously it's kind of the same as me investing in Google. I believe in Google, I believe in Airbnb. I use Airbnb as a customer and I'm a soon to be host. I feel like I should own this stock, but I'm only gonna do like $20 into it because I feel like it's gonna go lower. I really do think it's gonna go lower and I'm gonna buy more when that happens. Okay, and that's it. That's all I'm gonna do today. I don't really expect these to do as well as my 2020 stocks did because we're just not in as big of a dip. So that was insane to get an 80% return. I don't really expect that with these, but I do think these have some potential. We'll see. Even if they do poorly, I'm just gonna hold on to them for a long time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little different. I haven't done a video like this ever because I've just been like a little intimidated to. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it and you want more videos about investing in the future. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video.